Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost as if Mr. Silvagni was made to be cut from the same cloth that the Collingwood Football Club are made of, simply being a jack of all trades. It's time to talk all things black and white. As we know, guys, Jack Silvagni is rumoured to play for the Collingwood Football Club next year, coming to the club as an unrestricted free agent, which very much so works into the favour of the Collingwood Football Club, given we have absolute piss all draft capital over the next couple of years. So to get someone just by way of paying for a contract and not having to give up any picks is something the Collingwood Football Club have been able to do very well over the last couple of years. Look at McStay, Perryman, Membry, although being delisted. So little examples like that which really work to our favour and keep us in that premiership window. And hopefully if we can secure the services of Jack Silvagni, it would help. He's much more than a stopgap. We can have conversations all day about Billy Frampton and maybe one thing that could be a consistent knock on Frampton is he is very much a what's the word that I normally, he's a beneficiary of the system, right? So if we're playing really well, he tends to play well. In saying that, his last few games where the Pies haven't done exceptionally well, he's stood up really strongly against the players like Riley Thilthorpe and of that type of caliber. Has been impressive. But for the most part, Billy Frampton is a beneficiary of the system, and sometimes when things aren't going his way and the ball is being moved very quickly against us, he is vulnerable. The thing that I love about Jack Silvagni is that when things aren't going Carlton's way defensively and they're under an immense amount of pressure, he stands up strong, and he's so versatile as well. What we're going to see from some of these highlights, and we'll get to it in just a moment, is his ability to use the ball, his composure, his contested marking ability, which has him top 10 in the league in that key defender range. Score involvements, he averages over 3 score involvements per game. Some of you may say, but he played 2 games as a football game and a half, whatever it may be. I've taken those games out, and even with that in consideration, Jack Silvagni for amongst key defenders is in the top 3 for most score involvements per game. So not only is he able to defend, he also has that bravery that Collingwood have been deprived of in the last 6 to 8 weeks when it comes to moving the ball through the corridor and keeping the game in motion. So let's get into this. Plucked out a few highlights that I think we can all appreciate here. So for those who are wondering, Jack Silvagni can play tall, small, medium size. So it really works into the game plan for Collingwood, who like to have players who are versatile all across the ground and can play and match up with many different players. And if you look at players like Quaynor, Perryman, Bruzzy, Dan Houston at times can play tall, small, big, and then you have Billy Frampton, Darcy Moore, who normally play on the bigger players. But when it comes to specifically those key forwards, Jack Silvagni can play lockdown and can play loose as an intercept if needed. So we can see here on Aaron Norton finds the body early and just works off him and gets the ball rolling pretty much as soon as possible, looking to get Carlton on a quick rebound there. And we talk about Silvagni's ball use here. So he scans quickly through here. Carlton, who have struggled incredibly this year when it comes to their ball movement going the other way, I think Jack Silvagni was a shining light in their ball movement at times for this exact reason. So just opens up the game completely, finds his kick into the corridor right here. And this just gives you everything that you want. And this is something we, as Collingwood fans, have been starved of over the last 6 to 8 weeks. We've just been that half a second slow, and it's the finer details. It's taking that extra half second that slows down the entire game, and there's more examples like that in this footage here. Oh, let's skip through this quickly. That's not right. Okay. We got something here. Great intercept mark at the start of the game. Don't know how much you knew about it, but we'll give him that one. So this is a perfect example of what I'm saying. This, to the untrained eye, this whole setup, you go, okay, there is absolutely nothing here for Silvagni to play with. But then we let this sort of play out. And this is the difference between hesitating for half a second, and this is the difference between going for something here. So it's that little gap, it's a little tick lead, or whatever you want to call it here, which will open the game. That will give an option here, and then even the next kick there. Like this, you could say this kick was on, but this probably gives the interceptors here who are rolling over a bit of time to get to this play here. So we'll let this unfold and opens up the game entirely. He can go through corridor, which is exactly where Holland's eyes have... I keep going square, guys. His eyes are panning into the middle, which doesn't happen if Silvagni doesn't make that play. And he's even got the handball received to his brother. Good body work on Jack Silvagni, although you might say that kick was in the favour of Silvagni. It could have been, but the play still needs to be made. What I've noticed from Silvagni this year's body work is smart. He's a smart player. Not being exactly key size like a Darcy Moore or a Sam Taylor or a Harris Andrews. He knows how to manipulate the body and get himself in the best position to give him the best opportunity to intercept the ball. He's looking inside the corridor. So you see here, that doesn't happen. It doesn't open anything else. He could have delayed it. He could have gone back to Nick Haynes and they play a slow switch and have to go all the way around the ground. Instead, he just goes, nah, I'm taking the riskiest kick here. I back my ability. And he kind of reminds me of a Jeremy Howe to a certain extent, except he can play on bigger players and isn't as much as a mismatch one-on-one because of his contested marking ability, 1.3 contested marks per game, which is more than Darcy Moore. He has that ability that he won't be undersized in a one-on-one with a genuine key forward as much as Jeremy Howe is. Now, can Jack Silvagni intercept the ball as well as Jeremy Howe at his peak? Probably not, but Jack Silvagni is that perfect piece to our puzzle where we have someone who can play isolated on big plays, but can also attack very well. Excuse me. Finds that kick inside the middle and they're out. All right, what do we got here? Silvagni. That's just reading the ball at its best. I mean, he could have easily gone up with this. You see this many times where team or defenders go up with their forwards because they're just following their forward. So Dangerfield loses his feet, which means Silvagni can make a decision to go here. And he reads that best. Although he doesn't take the mark, he goes, handball, and they're out. Nice little ground ball gather, so he's good below the knees as well and finds a target pretty much centimetre perfect. Silvagni sells the candy. See you later. Is that Windhager or someone? And then how about this for a darting kick inside forward 50 to Mr. Charlie Curnow? We don't necessarily have that in a Billy Frampton or a Darcy Moore, and I'm not saying we do need that. Players like Braden Maynard and Jeremy Howe can do that very well. Dan Houston doesn't have the defensive abilities that a Jeremy Howe and Braden Maynard have. It's like we're adding like this player. This Jack Silvagni is just a reincarnation of some of the Collingwood defenders we already have and fills that gap. So that's what's most exciting about Jack Silvagni for mine is he's just like a Powerpuff Girls experiment. He's a mixture of Jeremy Howe with a bit of Braden Maynard and can do all these little things that we're lacking at the moment as a defensive unit. That also needs to attack together. Good body work on Mitch Owens, a really serviceable young key forward. You'll love to see that. I think he just plays it out here to the side. So that's that. Look, the question stands, right? He played 13 games this year. Can he get his body right? That's a big question mark. He had good games against teams like the Bulldogs, who are a great side, of course. He had a good game against Geelong in the game that they won, okay. Outside of that, he had really good games against what we said, Essendon, St Kilda, North Melbourne, West Coast, Port Adelaide. So you ask, can he do it consistently against the great teams? Time will tell, but based on the evidence we have here, you just have to take a punt on someone who is in the free agency market. You don't have to give up picks for. He's 28. Let's have a look. Let's clarify that, just so we're not talking through our backside. He's 28, so he'll be 29 next year. So the question stands, can he play consistently and can he get his body right? I think 28, 29 is not the worst case. Once again, you can lean on the fact that we don't have to give up picks for this player, which makes this a desirable target for Collingwood. Outside, who are you going to go for? Stephen May, who's 3 or 4 years older and hasn't had the best back half to his season this year. The market is very slim, so that's why I think there has to be a strong emphasis on Jack Silvagni. The question is, does he want to go to a Western Bulldogs who will probably offer him more? And Western Bulldogs probably desperately need a key defender more than Collingwood in some ways, or the fact that we're in the finals and the Doggies aren't. Essendon is another option. So will Silvagni want to go to a destination club where he may not earn as much, but has a really good culture, can learn off some great players, great defenders, a great club culture? Or does he go to an Essendon or the Western Bulldogs, who will offer him perhaps a little bit more money, and just depends which way he wants to lean. And there's obviously that risk of going to Collingwood as a man with a surname that is Silvagni, how he will be looked back and how his family will be looked upon if he was to leave Carlton to go to Collingwood. There's that implication as well. So a bit to consider for Jack Silvagni, but I think he would be a very likeable figure and would be very quickly become a fan favourite at the Collingwood Football Club. So Jack, come to the Black and White, mate. We'll treat you well, and we think you will fit into our side just perfectly. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section, and as always, go Pies.